The weight of your arrow is a huge factor in the trajectory of your shot and ultimately your margin of error as you get downrange. I've got two different arrows here, and today I'm going to show you the difference in flight trajectory with a heavier versus a lighter arrow. Now, this first arrow is my standard hunting setup, and this is around 455 grains. For me, I'm shooting 29.5 inches on my draw, 70 pounds. That is the perfect arrow for my style and my kind of hunting. Now, I've also got an extra heavy arrow here. This one is about 80 grains heavier at 535 grains. And while that 80 grains may not seem like much, it has a huge impact on the overall flight path of that arrow and ultimately your margin of error as you get downrange. Little misses with a lighter arrow setup can be complete misses with a heavier arrow setup, and I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to shoot 4 different distances with both of these arrows. We're going to shoot at 30, 50, 80, and 100 yards, and you're going to see how drastic the difference is in that point of impact on the arrow with just an 80 grain difference. As you're working on your setup for your bow and ultimately your arrow choice, make sure you are talking to your local bow shop and getting some advice on what the optimal stiffness and weight is for your bow setup. But again, there is no need to go way over the top and get into these crazy ultra heavy arrows. The one I'll use an example today is not even in that category of ultra heavy, right? I see these guys talking about 600, 700 grain arrows. To me, that is just completely unnecessary. What you're doing is you're introducing a huge amount of additional risk for margin of error, right? As you get out into further distances, your arrow is going to drop drastically more with just that extra weight. And again, there's no need for it. With the efficiency of compound bows today, the speeds of these arrows, with the broadhead technology that we are using, there's really no reason for this. So I highly recommend that you choose an arrow that is an optimal setup for your bow weight from a stiffness perspective and a weight perspective, and keep it as light as you can while being in that optimal range, and you'll find that your consistency overall will drastically improve. So let's start this first shot at 30 yards. First arrow, 455 grains. Second arrow, 535 grains. At 30 yards, we're already talking about a 3-inch drop on this arrow. Let's back up to 50 and see what it does. Come on back to 50 with me. Another thing to think about as we're talking through this is just the fact that many new archers don't realize the big impact that arrow weight consistency has at all. Not only should you choose the optimal weight for your arrows, but make sure that the arrows in your quiver are of equal weight, because again, these little changes in the weight of the arrow themselves can make a big difference downrange, and you don't want that to result in you losing that buck of your dreams. So now we're at 50 yards. We are going to shoot the light arrow first. Again, it's 455 grains. And now our heavier arrow, 535. We're already into the second target down on the bottom, just at that 50-yard mark. So at 50 yards, the difference between these two arrows is almost 8 to 9 inches. We've come down from this main target here down into this hog target here. Again, huge difference in overall drop and arrow trajectory just in that 50-yard range. "80 yards, light arrow." Now for the aim point on this, I'm going to aim towards the top of the target in between those two top circles on the white target there. A little low on that one, but that's okay. Still show what I'm trying to show here. Same aim point, top of the white target, heavy arrow. At 80 yards, I am now at the bottom of that hog target. Let's go get him. Get this difference, 80 yards. We have a few feet of difference here. That is wild. All right, 100 yards, light arrow. "100 yards, heavy arrow." For the record, I think I'm blowing this up for you guys, but I want you to see the difference. Same aim point, top of the white target. You may have seen that splash of dust down there. Hopefully that arrow stayed out of the stump. What I wanted to show you in this video is how much of a difference what seemingly a little bit of arrow weight difference can make in your shot trajectory. When you're in at 10, 15, 20 yards, you're talking about inches, which is still the difference between an animal that's been successfully harvested and an animal that you've hit too low. But as you stretch out a little bit further, that 30, that 40, that 50 and beyond, the difference is absolutely huge. So it is critical that you understand your arrow weight and you understand the trajectory of your arrow, and consider choosing an arrow that is an appropriate weight for your bow, depending on your draw weight and your draw length, depending on the type of broadhead you're going to stick on the end of that arrow. Those are all factors to consider, but just keep in mind that you should look at the optimal weight rather than going the ultra heavy route, because the heavier you go on that arrow, the more chance you have for increasing that margin of error, right? An inch miss with an arrow that's of an optimal weight is a complete miss with an arrow that's a little bit too heavy for your setup. Thanks for watching. Give it a like and a subscribe if you like this kind of thing, and we'll see you next time.